All right, Sammy Hagar, the Red Rocker. Dude, I don't think I told you this over text, but I grew up in Dallas, Texas, just a little white trash kid, and I was such a fan of yours, and that whole era of rock and roll, and just, Van Halen was actually 1984 was my first concert at Reunion Arena.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom.
That was before me. 84.
That was before you. But that was my first. That was my first rock show. My mom took like 8 of us down there.
Wow.
Wearing parachute pants.
Yeah, Texas is always a great state for me, for rock and roll. It's like I'm pretty much white trash myself, right. And I don't have an education. I didn't even graduate from high school. I hate to tell people that, but it's God's truth.
Right.
And I'm just the luckiest sucker in the world. But I work my ass off playing music, just like an athlete would, You don't just pick up a guitar and start playing it. I'd stay up all night, every night. That's how musicians get on the other side of the clock. We're staying up all night playing a record player and listening, trying to learn solos, learn songs. And you do that your whole life to get good. You can't just expect to walk out there on stage and become a star. Some people do, but the longevity is usually not there. But Texas is good for me.
Yeah.
Always.
So here we are in Austin. You guys got a gig tomorrow night at ACL Live down at downtown there.
Never played there.
I was just going to ask you if you've ever played it. You're going to like it. You're going to, I say that. I've never played it.
I've seen Austin City Limits, which always sounds great. So it must be a good sounding room.
So this is the new room, right? So there was the one that was on camp, the historical, the show you kind of grew up watching or when you were younger was on PBS. That was on campus at the communications building. And then they built a bigger venue, which is in the W Hotel. It's about 3,000 seats.
Oh, that's where it is, the W Hotel?
Yeah.
It's damn good thing I didn't stay there.
Right. Ground,
You become a prisoner, you know what I mean? When you play.
It's the ground floor there. And
wow.
There's no bad seat. So 3,000 people in there. Sound is amazing. It's just no bad seat.
Well, of all the places in Texas, Austin is the coolest music town.
No doubt.
And it was the place that I had the hardest time breaking. I broke in San Antonio first. Then I got big in Houston. And then, Lubbock and Corpus Christi and everywhere, Dallas. And I'll be doing two Reunion arenas, 2 Houstons, 2 everywhere. And then come to Austin and do, like 5,000 or 6,000 people. It was just really weird. Even Van Halen, we'd do doubles everywhere, but Austin, we'd barely sell out one Austin. It's such a music town. It's like, it's more culty, I think.
A little fringy, maybe.
Yeah, and which is cool. So that's why I'm playing this building, because I usually skip Austin. I'll just play Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio maybe, and move on. I don't tour that much anymore anyway, But so my wife's from here. That my beautiful wife
from Austin.
Yeah, that you. I see you got the eyes for. So I'm gonna have to keep track on.
I'm coming to the gig tomorrow night. Let me just tell you something. While you're up there playing, you better have somebody real.
Oh, I got full-time security on a woman like that. Are you crazy?
You better be real tight.
Anyway, she's from Austin.
She really
originally
from Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then when she was about 13 or 14, she went to Sacramento, moved to Sacramento, and then she moved back and went to school in Virginia.
Yeah.
And that's where I met her.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, you guys got a couple kids.
Got a couple. I got 2 sets of kids. My first marriage.
I'm with you. I got 2 sets.
Yeah. And so I got 2 boys. One of them's, everybody's sitting down. I don't want to cause any trouble around here. My oldest boy is 50.
50.
50. Just turned that.
That's older than me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you could be my son. and then my other boy's 34, and he's on tour with me. He's opening. He's an acoustic guy. Yeah, he's badass.
Killer. So he'll play tomorrow night?
Yeah, he's really good. He calls himself SOS, and it ain't Son of Sam, but I say it's Son of Sam, dude. I said, you got to capitalize on it somehow.
Yeah.
But
I did think it was interesting because the world knows you as Sammy Hagar. Yeah. And in all of the footage I was watching, I watched the old VH1 show is I'm married to ... Sammy Hagar. So it's mostly about your wife, talking about y'all's relationship. She never once called you Sammy. It was always Sam.
I know.
It was always Sam.
It's so funny. My mom was the only one to call me Sammy growing up. And I was always Sam Hagar's. And then when I started becoming, in Montrose in 72, 73, started becoming a celebrity. On the first Montrose album, it says Sam Hagar. And from then on out, it said Sammy. My record company, when I left Montrose, I became a solo artist, they they made a record and said Sammy Hagar on it. You know, it's a 9 on 10 scale. It looked like birthday cake writing. And I just accepted it. It was just really weird. And now that I've done it, now that I'm 71 going around being Sammy, you know, it sounds like a little kid's name. And I think, you know, there's only 2 Sammys, you know, kind of, you know, Sammy Davis Jr. and myself that really have done. And so I'm cool with it. I'm saying, you know what? Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of got a youthful thing to it. But when somebody calls me Sam, I always think it's somebody in the family. I'm going, hey, it's my fucking brother over there or something. You know what I mean?
You know, in all this footage I watched of you and the interviews I read, and I'm watching it going, man, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? He's always in a good mood. Like none of this stuff. That maybe a little bit. One clip I watched was when y'all did that reunion tour, and it was or with both you and David Lee Roth. But every clip, I'm like, what are they slipping this guy? Like, what the fuck is in his water? Like, how is he always in a good mood?
Well, Lance, like you said, you know, I came from a poor background, and I'm grateful, and I've always been grateful. It's like everything I ever got, I felt like I worked for, and I felt like I deserved it. So I didn't ever feel like, well, I didn't deserve it. You know, you know, you feel uncomfortable. I mean, I see guys so uncomfortable with their fame. You know, I bet you've seen it. Yeah. You know, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? You know, what's your problem here, man? You just should be grateful, dude. Right. I thought this is what you wanted. You know, I mean, like, you know, guys like the Van Halen brothers. I mean, they're just miserable with it. You know. And it's just like you just sit there and just go, man. The more I'm around miserable people, the happier I get. You know, I go, man. I enjoy the fuck out of life, man. That's all. And I know what to do with my fame and
very
fortune.
Apparent. It's very apparent. Yeah, it's cool to see, man. And it's almost like, you know, I really. I just love a story like Jimmy Buffett's story, right? So
my hero.
Yeah, I mean, you in many ways you've emulated his model, right, or copied his model. Whereas you have fantastic music career, and then boom, let's spin off and do a tequila. Boom, let's spin off and do a club. Let's do some restaurants. Now you got to see we'll talk about the rum, but that's what he's done. I mean, the guy's out. I mean, think about Jimmy Buffett. I mean, he's out doing. He's doing nursing homes now.
I know he's building communities. Yeah,
but it's and
they're big
and booze and they're big, and I mean it's like it's just a whole thing. It's awesome.
He's got a great group of people. I've only met 1 or 2, the guys around him, but he's got smart guys. He's a smart guy,
very smart guy.
But it's so funny how everyone. Compared me when I first started doing the Cobble Wobble thing and all that. I met my wife, Kari, when I was still in Van Halen, and she was from the East Coast back there, so she was a Buffett guy, and I didn't know nothing about Jimmy Buffett, right. West Coast guy. He came to West Coast, I guess, but I didn't know about. So she meets me, and, we started dating, and hanging out, and then I left my wife like any man would for a woman you fall deadly in love with, and so... and I said, I got to take you to Cabo, man. You got to see my place and all this stuff. So we take her to Cabo. She goes, man, you remind me of Jimmy Buffett. And I'm going, what? I thought it was, what the hell are you talking about? Right. Jimmy Buffett? I remembered Margaritaville. That was all I knew about Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah. Cheeseburger in Paradise, Margaritaville. But basically all I can remember is Margaritaville, because that was really a cool song. So was all of his songs are cool, right. but Margaritaville, that was a destination. You could just see it. He just explained it so well that look what it did. He launched a whole career off that thing. But anyway, I don't know if we can confirm it. Not to interrupt, but I have heard, and I guess I could just ask Jimmy because he's a friend of mine, that Margaritaville is Austin, and Austin is Margaritaville.
Really?
That he wrote that song here.
Oh, probably. You'd think it was about the Keys. I would think it was the Keys. Here.
So he spends a bunch. He just left here. He does all his rehearsing here. One of my best friends in Aspen, we live in Aspen now, is Mike Ramos, who's been his tour manager for 30 plus years. So it's just...
I've been chasing Mike around trying to get Jimmy to do my TV show.
He told me that.
He's got to fucking do it. Come on now. You go get him. Now I got another hand on him.
He does have to do it.
Can you imagine me interviewing Jimmy Buffett? That's the shit. That's the shit right there, man.
Yeah.
So, but long story short, so I said, oh, well, man, so we get back to San Francisco, and he's playing. Comes up in the next 4 or 5 months, and she goes, come on, let's go see Jimmy Buffett. I'm going, okay. I get there. I thought we were going to go to some little dive club, and I get there, there's 19,000 people. Right. partying, and I'm going, I was blown the fuck away.
Right.
And it changed my mentality. I went, now I see what you're talking about. And I kind of started rolling my music and lifestyle together, not copying Jimmy, doing my own thing with Mexico style, what he was doing with the islands. And, he's
a lot
genius.
of people have done that. I mean, look at Kenny Chesney. A lot of these guys are like,
who ain't?
Yeah, I mean, Zach Brown's doing that. Metallica is doing a scotch or a whiskey or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
It became a trend. I didn't know what I was doing. When I built Cabo Wabo, that was just purely out of passion. I bought a little condo in Mexico. I went to Cabo, one flight in a week, one flight out. No newspapers, no TVs, no telephones. Right. Wow. So I went down. And I fell in love with the place. I said, my God, this is unbelievable, Yeah. And I could walk down the street and dirt roads and everything back then. And I could walk down the street in freaking red leather pants and jumping up and down with a guitar screaming, I can't drive 55. And nobody would say, who the fuck is that crazy gringo?
Right.
No one knew me. It was great, And so I fell in love with it. I said, I'm going to build a little tequila bar down here. Yeah. And that's how it started. I didn't have any idea. I wrote the song Cabo Wobbles, called up Eddie on the phone from Mexico. Later on, in my condo, I got a phone. I had a first telephone in Mexico, had a first satellite dish in Mexico at the Cabo Wabo, had a first fax machine when I say Mexico, in Cabo.
Right.
And way back then. But anyway, I started building that brand out of love. I just really wanted great Mexican food, want to call my friends down and say, man, let's just jam for free, never charged. And it took off. And when the tequila came out, it was just at the beginning. It was such the right time. People always come to me and say, oh man, you're so smart. How'd you do that? I want to do it. Teach me how to get into business. I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Right. It's like walking through a lawn and stepping in dog shit and you can't get it off your foot. You know what I mean? That's about as close.
It was a little better than that. The outcome was better. Yeah. I've spent, I'm afraid to even admit how much time I've spent in Cabo. I love Cabo. Yeah. I love Mexico, but I really I love Baja and I love Cabo. But my favorite, I don't know if you've probably ever been over to Nowhere Bar. Right there on the port, and I've been to
That's
Cabo.
Clooney and the boys. They go hang around over there.
Yes, with all the Discovery, El Dorado guys, they go down there. But and I've been to, full confession, I've been to Cabo Wabo.
You have to. Hello.
Of course. But so, in Vegas, they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And the Nowhere Bar sells these T-shirts that says, what happened in Cabo never happened.
That's my slogan.
It's amazing.
That's my slogan.
They stole it?
They stole it.
Fuckers.
They fucking stole it.
Ladrones.
But that's okay. It's all right. That's
called ladrones.
As long as they say the right thing, it's because it's funny and shit. But it's true. I mean, Cabo, people get down there in the old days. Lance, I saw fucking girls do shit that you just thought, what? Some straight chick, man. If she crosses that border, a couple shots of tequila on that table and getting down. And I'm just...
Not as raunchy as Merle Haggard's porn, though.
It ain't Merle's porn. It's the porn Merle bought from the guy that he said. Now, let's get this straight. The guy said Merle bought that porn from him.
Right. You weren't.
And when I watched it, I thought, if Merle likes this stuff, man, woo, God help him, man. God bless him, man.
Yes, all of it.
Cabo's a funny place. Mexico in general, people cross that border and tequila makes you do funny things,
It's a different
it's
alcohol.
a fun town.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite spirit.
Mine too.
But it just and I guess that's, people probably know this. I mean, it's just different than vodka or whiskey, or it just
totally different.
It's it's not always a good thing.
Well, it makes you feel so good. It's kind of euphoric. You kind of think you can drink more than you can. That's the only problem with tequila. I mean, most guys that have a drinking problem, they're going to have that problem with anything they drink. But guys that don't have a drinking problem, you still can fuck up with tequila because you just start having such a good time. Oh, fucking one more shot, boom. And it tastes really good. That salt, for me, salt and lime is still part of the ritual with tequila. Mm-hmm. That's what makes it really fun. And the true way to drink tequila is to have salt first. Not ionized salt, not that blue canned stuff, whatever. No, you want sea salt or kosher salt's fine, but good sea salt because it's got a little more flavor in it. A little taste of that. Do a sip tequila, drink it, shoot it, whatever you're doing, and then bite that lime or orange or lemon, any kind of citrus, and man, that is just like the cleanest. Just go, whew, man, yeah. You know what I mean? You just feel like, hey,
I actually
I'm there.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's the finish. It's really it's a cool thing. Now, you don't do vodka like that. You don't even do whiskey like that. You're lucky if you can shoot whiskey. I'm not a whiskey. I'm not a brown spirit guy. I don't even like brown.
We're like long lost brothers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, colored spirits. Now I'm out.
Yeah, I like Blanco tequila. I'm a Blanco guy, and my newest one, I only make Blanco. It's called Mezquila Santo, and it's a Blanco, half mezcal, half tequila.
Okay.
Yeah, and when they do a special blend thing that makes it come together. It's some magical process, and we call it a higher spirit. Because if you mix them two together, it's nasty. And I wanted to be able to shoot it, or to drink it. I didn't want to have to mix it because it tastes so damn good when you get it right. So I don't know what the process is. This guy at El Viejito who made the original Cabo Wabo tequila too. He's doing it, and now I just make this Blanco so damn good. I said, well, let's just do the Blanco by itself too, but I don't want wood. Don't put it in wood. As far as I'm concerned, it ruins it.
Huh?
Not ruins it. But wood gives you the headache too, by the way, folks.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's that wood, man. The tannin in that wood. Brown spirits give you a headache like a motherfucker. Something you don't want.
We call that headache sauce. And not to get too much into it.
No, you get anything you want, Lance. I'm here for you, man.
You sold Cabo Wabo to who was it?
Campari, Group of Campari, yeah.
90 mil.
Well,
you had investors.
It was $100 million, but I wanted to keep 20%. I got greedy, which is the last thing anybody should ever do in their lives. I have a new album called Space Between. It's about money, greed, enlightenment, and truth. And greed is the stumbling block for everything with everyone. And we are all greedy. I mean, here I got guys give me $100 million, and I say, well, I want to keep 20% because I was going, they'll build this brand, they'll launch it worldwide, and my 20% will be worth another $100 million, right?
You wanted 2 bites of the apple.
I did.
Yep.
And it was wrong. I got fucked. So I ended up with $93 million. But when I sold it back, I got 13 for what was worth 20 at the first time. I sold back 7 years later. And because they're a big company, they said, our overhead, we have 10% for this, and so here's your share. I was getting 20% royalties, and I'm going, man, they're dying with my brand, I was making all that money. But they weren't. It's just the way they build a brand. They put 13 people on payroll for just that brand, and they do all these things.
But you owned it outright.
Owned it outright.
So the 93 went
to me. I had a 14% partner in Mexico.
Wow. Good for you, man.
Yeah. Oh, no.
That's a lot of scratch.
Yeah, that's partly why I'm so happy. I'm not worried about a few things.
When you were over here giving me this stuff about how you're happy and you've embraced your fame and all this bullshit you were saying, I'm literally in my head going, the guy sold his tequila brand for $100 million. He doesn't give a shit about anything. And,
I give a shit about a lot of things.
And he's got a hot wife, and he's got a band he loves, and he's here in Austin, Texas, and I'm like, no wonder he's so happy. It
was life changing. It's a funny thing. I never even dreamed that one. You know what I mean? That's the one you didn't dream. Right. The one you didn't even imagine. You never thought. Just didn't even go there. And when things happen like that, that's like the miracle level. You've had that experience, I'm sure. That miracle level where you go, wow, this is like really fucking awesome.
Fell in your lap.
Yeah.
Well, you start, like you said, the guy walking barefoot down the dirt road in Cabo with no phones and screaming as loud as I can't drive 55. And all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah. It all came through a channel that was really the Cabo Wabo Cantina, a place where you went, like a Margaritaville. And it's like you think about it's a destination. And everything came through it. I put the tequila in there. I just planned on just putting it in my bar. I'm blowing my own whistle. I'm throwing myself under the bus that I'm not that smart. I just wanted to put the tequila in my bar. I wanted to make about 20, 30 cases a year, sell them at my bar where you had to come and you say, oh, man, Sammy's tequila's really good, And somebody tasted it, wrote a story about it in an airline magazine. American Airlines started coming down there more often. And blah, blah, blah. Just pretty soon getting phone calls. Hey, man, you want to bring it to America? I said, yeah, sure. What do I have to do? Well, just sign this contract. And we'll go get it all done for you. And that's when I had my Mexican partner, Marco Monroy, who I had him charge of production. I'd say, yeah, we need 6,000 cases. Go down and talk to the guys and put the money up, up front. And, it's like I spent $50,000. Period, launching Cabo Wabo tequila. That's all the money I ever spent. It took off so fast.
Pretty good return.
I know, 50 grand. That's Warren Buffett asked me to do a speech to 1,000 people at his GE summit about 6 years ago, and he said that's why. He said he heard about it, right, and he read my book, and he said, I said, why do you want me doing this shit, man? Talk to me. He said, because you think different than these guys. He said, you took $50,000, turned it into $100 million. He goes, these fuckers, I wish they could all do. These guys don't know how to do that. Right. I said, well, I don't either, you know.
Right.
But
wow.
Anyway,
and every year you do your birthday party.
Yeah,
I heard you talking about, but it goes on for like 2 weeks, this birthday party. Is that true? 10 days?
Not anymore. At 70, I cut it down to 3 days last year. And this year it's going to be 3 days again. And eventually I'm going to cut it down to 1 day, my birthday. And eventually I'm going to get somebody, like I'll get the biggest band in the world to play my birthday for me.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You know, at 80.
Let me know when that happens.
Yeah. Well, it's really, it's turned into a really an all-star jam thing. I've had so many great people come down. I can't even remember all of them. It's just been
Chad
great.
Smith, Kenny Chesney.
Yeah.
All those guys.
Yeah, Kenny brought his whole damn band down there one year, I think for my 60th, and said he went on stage and played 3 hours and 40 minutes with his whole band. He brought them in to surprise me on my birthday. And I'm going, fuck, man, this is awesome. Look at my clock. Finally, I went up, played an hour with him. Michael Anthony went up, played an hour with him. A couple other people jammed with him. And then he comes off stage and said, what the fuck? Why quit now? I said, man, we got to piss. Up there drinking beer all night.
Wow.
But it's been a great ride. I love the Cabo Wabo. It's my favorite thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
You know, if you say what's your favorite thing, it ain't Van Halen. I love Van Halen, but you know, it ain't Montrose. It ain't nothing. It's fucking Cabo Wabo, baby. Building that, having that dream or that vision, and then seeing it come true, and then having to go beyond the dream. That's about as good as it gets. Have you ever ridden a bike down to Baja?
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. Have. Oh no, fuck no. Them roads are treacherous.
Yeah, the only place I ever rode down in Cabo was on, and this is when they first built that toll road from the airport. Yeah. Now there's a second part of that kicks over straight to Cabo San Lucas, the new toll road. But when they first built that original toll road, nobody used it. Like the thing was empty.
Yeah.
And so I'd ride on that. A big old shoulder, not many cars. That's where I'd ride. But you can't, like the corridor road and all that. I mean, you would die. I mean, they just run your ass over.
Just look at the flowers on the side of the road, folks, when you're there. Right. Those little flowers and crosses, they mean something. I thought maybe, but you ever ride from California all the way down? Because I've driven it a few times, and it's treacherous. It's treacherous.
I'd love to ride a dirt bike. I think I've always wanted to do that trip from Ensenada or Tijuana to Cabo.
So you ride dirt bikes too?
Yeah, on a dirt bike. That would be.
That's rough going, Lance.
Yeah, but I mean, how many? You're with a group. I mean, you don't go out. I mean, it's not like I roll out there alone. I mean,
but
this
I
guy,
just mean
this guy Chris Hayes, who's
that beat your back up and your kidneys and your ass and your damn.
You're getting old, man.
Oh hell yes, I am.
Tell me about this band you got now, because this is almost like a super group. I mean. I could spend the whole hour talking about John Bonham. I mean, it's just,
ask any drummer. Yeah. And they'll tell you John Bonham. I mean, you go to the country world and you ask those drummers. You go to the jazz world and they'll talk about John Bonham. You know, he was such a deep pocket guy. So Jason plays exactly like him.
He does. That's right.
And I'm even starting to go out on a limb. You know, Jason's 50 now. You know, he's 47, 48. He's like my son's age. And I really feel like his father. I feel like I'm being his dad's tapping me on the shoulder and say, keep an eye on my boy, keep an eye on my boy. Because Jason could get wild. He went really bad about 8 years ago. He stopped drinking completely. I think it was 8 years ago. Maybe it's been more than that. Maybe I should say it's more than that. But maybe it's 8 years when I met him this last time. He's been with me for 5 years. But long story short, he's clean. And he was a crazy man, just like them old 70s rock star guys, you know. And he plays so good now, though. If his dad were alive, of course, I mean, he would have been even better than he was when he was the greatest rock drummer in the world. But Jason plays just like him.
No, how old was he?
I know, 35 or something. Yeah, young, too young, you know.
And so Jason was young. Jason was not young, but he was older. I thought he was 14. I thought I was trying to do the math. I'm not sure. But he was old enough to have known his dad.
Oh yeah.
Does he talk about
his dad? That's all he talks about. Really? He is so, hungry for that, to have known his dad and for to be able to show his dad what he's done. And because his dad used to always brag about him, got all these pictures. He shows us videos of him at 5 years old playing drums and his dad sitting there, look at my kid,
That's so cool.
Oh, it's really cool. But Jason is playing as good as his dad. I mean, I don't care what anybody says, that almost sounds like blasphemy. But I'm sure his father would tell you the same thing, and I'm sure Jimmy Page would tell you the same thing if he played with him today. So when Jason sat in with my band 5 years ago in his hometown, he came down. I had Vic Johnson. Michael Anthony was out with me just coincidentally because he wasn't really in my band. I had a girl bass player named Mona for all them years with the Wobbles. That was my party band. And Vic Johnson. Yeah. And I mean, really a party band.
Party band.
A true party band. We just had a good time. And no set list type party. You know, it was more like a Jimmy Buffett kind of thing. We went out there and played as long as we could and said, okay, we're done. No encores. We never did encores, all that stuff. But anyway, so Mikey would come out and hang with us for a while, and I'd do a Van Halen set in the middle of our show. Jason's on the side stage. I see him. I say, oh, Jason, I haven't seen you for a long time. Last time he was in Mexico, we had to bust the door down and get him out and get him on an airplane. He ended up going to the hospital and went straight to rehab, and we saved his life. He was gone. He came down there and just went all the way. And so that's the last time I'd seen him. And I'm going, hey, Jason, how you doing, man? I said, you know Pound Cake? He's going, yeah, mate, you know. I said, jump on the drums. We're going to play it in 2 songs. He said, okay. Gets up there, play Pound Cake. I'm going, holy fuck. It sounds like somebody put a new drum set up there. You know, like you changed the kit out or something, man. Is it the same stick, same drums? I'm going, wow, man. So I go, hey, you know, finish what you started? Yeah. I'm going, fuck, let's do some Led Zeppelin. Okay, whole lot of love, rock and roll. You know, and we just, the next day, I just said, I'm going to get him in the band. I called him up. I said, you want to join my band? He said, sure. And I said, well, I got 3 more shows. I'll see you. I'll call you next week. And then flew him out. We rehearsed 2 weeks and put a show together.
Poor drummer had to give the sticks to John Bonham Jr.
And I just kept Mikey. I said, Michael Anthony, Jason, Vic Johnson.
Yeah.
And we call ourselves the Circle because we play everything. We play from even, you know, some Led Zeppelin. I don't play as much as when we first started. We played 5 Led Zeppelin, 5 Sammy Hagar, 5 Van Halen, 2 Montrose, 2 Chickenfoot. That was our set, right? Yeah. Come on, not a bad set list. Fucking Beatles have a hard time with a set list like this. So now we trimmed it down because we got a new album. So we play, you know, about 4 Van Halen songs and about 5 early Sammy songs, a little Montrose, and we play a bunch of new stuff. And,
any Zeppelin?
Yeah, one right now. Well, we switch it up, but we have the whole catalog. But we always play either rock and roll, whole lot of love, good times, bad times, or when the levee breaks. Those are our Led Zeppelin.
I'm going tomorrow night. You know that.
Come on, brother.
Dude, I'm there.
No, it's mandatory.
No, I'm in.
I thought that was why I was doing this interview so I could con you into at least.
I'm in, man. I'm leaving the next day. I'm going to send it off right. Well, that's cool, man. He that's cool that he has that relationship with his, or you know, obviously his dad's not around.
He channels. I mean, people freak out when he kicks off rock and roll. Yeah. Every time, you know, that's my jam song. That's my go-to jam song. You know, Richie Sambora is in town. He joins us for that and Rock Candy, the Montrose song Rock Candy. Those 2 songs and Led Zeppelin Rock and Roll. There ain't a guitar player or a singer that don't know them songs. And if they don't, they ain't jamming with me because those are staples, brother. Yeah. Well, I can't relate to you. But rock and roll, they all come out. And when Jason kicks it off, it's got the wickedest time. Everyone thinks the one somewhere and that it's not. So everyone fucks it up. But when Jason plays it, it's like everybody's going, whoa, it just sounds exactly like the record.
You know, it was interesting because I fancy you don't know this and you shouldn't. I'm
a singer, by the way.
You should not know this. Well, that's good because I was just about to tell you that I'm a drummer. So I fancy myself a really, really bad amateur shitty drummer. Like 4 on the floor, I got it.
But 4 on the floor is where it's at. AC/DC, come on now.
I can, you know, the transitionals, I can't do that. But anyways, so I watched the Stern interview that you did just here recently and you played some songs live and he was playing, you know, you guys had your instruments and he's sitting in front of what looked like almost a laptop and had a little, foot pedal.
Yeah.
And he's playing this and it sounds just like a drum set, but it actually is just like a checkerboard or something, you know, like
I don't know,
like tic-tac-toe this thing and he's just hitting these little things. Did you see it? Yeah. I mean, it's
grooving. He was 100%. Like a fucking...
You wouldn't, if you closed your eyes, you think he's sitting there at a drum set.
Howard was freaking out on that too. Yeah, he had just got that. It was in a little briefcase. Here's
my drums.
Because first I was just going on the Howard Stern show myself. And then then Howard's going, well, I want you to perform. I'm going, I can't perform, Howard. Fucking 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning for me.
Right.
And singers just do not function on that hour. So I struggle. I struggle. I say, I ain't going to do the fucking show. Fucking Howard trying to tell me what I have to do, and all this horse shit. And then I'm going, well, I got a new record out. And when my book came out, Red, My Uncensored Life in Rock, Howard Stern loved that book and got me on his show the first week, and the next day, 37,000 fucking copies. It went straight to #1, New York Times bestseller. And I'm going, that's my manager's going, you're not going to go on, Howard? I said, yeah, but damn. So I said, okay, then I'll bring Michael Anthony.
Yep.
And then, so I have somebody to sing harmony and stuff with. And I thought, well,
Michael's got a great voice.
Oh, he's great. Then I thought, well, Mikey's on bass, and I don't play guitar and sing that good anyway without another guitar player. So I'll just bring Vic. It was one of those kind of deals. And, well, why don't you just fucking bring Jason? I said, well, because you can't set up a whole drum set. Jason goes, I got this fucking briefcase, mate. So he flies up from Florida. And we'd never used the damn thing.
For the people at home that are wondering what the hell we're talking about, just go to YouTube and type in Howard Stern, Sammy, Hagar, and it's actually amazing. Higgs, did you see it? Yeah. He played. I mean, it's mind blowing. I was like, that's the coolest shit. I know he was
hitting the side of it. He just programmed it on the plane, I guess.
There you go.
He's got it. He's got the feel.
Yeah.
He just really feels it throughout his body.
I watched the little clip with Jenny McCarthy, and you were talking about how. I think, and I did Stern probably 2 years ago, and actually Mark, who's sitting right here, was like, dude, are you sure you want to do that?
I know a lot of people are afraid of that.
You just don't know what's coming, and you don't know what side of him you're on. And so I was like, and I kind of did the same thing.
He likes controversy. There's some in there. He'll dig it up.
Well, he was, and I don't know if he was just doing me a solid, or if he likes me or a fan, or he was just having a good old day, but it was amazing. Like there was no shade at all. Like it was, and I took the same approach.
Yeah. If he respects you,
yeah, man, it was.
That's the thing that's what I've noticed. The guy that was on before us was some guy that's got some new swinging website or something where he married this chick and she's an ex-porn star or something. I don't really know. I shouldn't say what they are because I was napping in the fucking dressing room and I was catching the tail end of it and. He was ripping this guy apart.
Really?
He's going, I mean, you're letting your old lady blow the driver of the car. The cab driver said that she gave him a blowjob and you were okay with that. And the guy's going, hey, Howard, man, man, this is really fucked up. I mean, they were getting into it. And I'm sitting in my dressing room with the door open and he's getting Robbins in there. Oh, my God, that is awful. Oh, man, they just ripped this poor fucker apart. And he was just trying to get some people to check his porn site out or something, so or his swinger side out. So he goes, all of a sudden I see this guy huffing past my dressing room. We have a TV in our room and we're sitting there watching it, and this guy's huffing, puffing out. The guy sitting around saying, "You guys are up next." that guy fucking, he ran him off, man. Yeah, he can be rough,
but he's the best in the business. Like it's
the best interview I've ever.
Yes, yeah. He's the best.
Yeah,
and for a guy who started out as sort of this shock jock, right, and kind of crazy and all these gimmicks and tricks and attention grabbing headline, all this stuff. I mean, he's the best. Like me sitting right here asking you questions, like I'm 1/1000. I mean, he's the best. He does it better than.
I've tried to analyze him because how he does it, because before I went on there, I was saying I want to try to spin, because he always wants to take you down the Van Halen road and all the controversy of me and Eddie about me getting blowjobs underneath the stage during Eddie's guitar solo. He always wants to go there. So I was kind of studying him, and I'm.
We can go there too if you want.
I think. Well, my wife.
What time's your wife arrive?
We had these tents.
We got like an hour and 15 minutes until she gets here.
I used to have these tents on the side of the stage where we'd go change, like changing tents in Van Halen. And my tent was here, and Eddie's was next to mine, and they were separated though, and Mikey and Al were on the other side. Blah blah blah. So and Eddie used to take 20-30-minute guitar solos sometimes, So I just get a blowjob during his guitar solo. It was pretty convenient, and I wrote about it in my book and.
Yeah, so
my wife got rid of those tents, by the way, as soon as I met her.
I'm sure.
And by the way, I didn't meet my wife in the tent, okay? I swear I did.
Have I told you that your wife's really hot?
Yeah.
If I mention that,
Yeah, but she's not
I'm
in
gonna
it.
pick her up. What time she land? I'll pick her up at the airport.
4:45. Pick her up on a tandem bike.
You're getting old. Go take a nap.
Yeah.
I'll go pick her up.
Perfect. Oh, I trust you completely, Lance. Just take a tandem bike down there. Yeah, she don't have much luggage.
Yeah.
She just buys new clothes everywhere we go.
One thing you do, and I read about this, and I want to talk about two things because both of these I did not know that you did, but in one of the interviews I read, every town that you play in, you write a check to the local food bank.
Yeah.
And to something
for 10 years now.
So something apparently to the tune of over $3 million to date.
Something like that.
Pretty awesome.
You know, it is, but
and not just because you feel like people need to get food, but you grew up, on the poorer side, and food was maybe not always around or like it should have been, and so that's the one
that's what provoked me. But the first time I did it, I decided to go down to the food bank in San Francisco because I do this charity called Acoustic for a Cure, and
which is this May 15th.
Yeah, May 15th. Yep. And so I give all that money to a bank, but there was some extra money. So I went down to the San Francisco food bank. It wasn't the first time I ever done it because I've been doing it for 10 years, and I've only been doing Acoustic for Cure for 6 years. So now that I'm thinking about. So I had $10,000 extra dollars. So I said, I'm going to take it down to the San Francisco food bank and give it to him personally, So we call him up. I'm going to come down. I want to hand out food. I don't want to just write a check. You know how you get, if you get your hands wet and you get dirty, you feel it a lot more. So I wanted to really feel what it was all about. So I went down there. I hadn't been at a food bank since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, it wasn't food banks anyways. I went to the church or the union hall where my dad worked, the steel workers union, and they used to hand out turkeys and hams at Christmas and stuff, So we always did that. But so I went down there, and I'm looking at these people, and it ain't just really down and out people. You see some normal families, a husband and wife with 2 or 3 kids, young kids. They're waiting in line with their kids, and they're dressed nice, and I'm going, wow. So I start talking to people, and what I found is the most amazing thing was, you got a lady that's a maid. They both work. The guy's a gardener, and they got 4 kids, and the hot water heater goes out, or their insurance is due, or they need tires on the car, on the truck, and they're short. They're barely, inking out a living. And they go down to the food bank a couple times a week, and it saves them, they make a few $100s a month extra money that they don't have to, buy food. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. These are helping people survive, and it's tough out there. So I thought, that's why I like food banks, because it's not just throwing money into a big giant bank account like some big charity organization, which are great. They're all good. If you're doing the right thing, it's all good. But when you give to a food bank, man, they go out and buy food with that shit. You know what I mean? And they hand out as much as they can. Yeah. And when they run out of food, they run out. Right. They need more money. So anyway, that's my go-to. I don't want to put my money in somebody else's bank account. Yeah. I can do
it's a pretty straight line. You give them some money, they buy the food right there, and within a day,
and without
the money's
food,
being put to work. Yeah, no. And then and then acoustic, I didn't know this either. I mean, this just came up, I think it was in the Forbes interview, the Acoustic for a Cure. So this is what benefits the pediatric cancer program at the UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital. Mark Benioff, the founder of Salesforce. So it's you guys, Sammy Hagar and friends, Tom Johnson, Chad Kroger, Lucas Nelson, Joe Satriani, Rick Springfield, Nancy Wilson of Heart, Mike. Yeah, I mean... Also at the Fillmore.
Every year we
love the Fillmore.
I know, man.
Oh, man.
See, it's a finite thing. What I love about this event, I do a lot of charity stuff, and you do too. I know that. And, sometimes it's too much silent auction, too much bidding on stage and auctions, and they show films of babies dying and stuff, man, and doctors giving speeches, and I don't want to do all that. I skip all that. No silent auction, no. You buy a ticket, and it costs $27,000 to put this event on. Because I don't pay anybody. I call these people up myself. Right. I don't call their manager, because the manager says, and I'm going, I call up Tommy Johnson. Tommy, you available on this date? Why, what do you need me for? Are you available on this fucking date? Okay, no pay, and you're doing it, and everyone comes to the party. It's just great. But the thing is so I give $100,000 to UCSF. So that's how Fillmore holds 1,100 people. So the tickets are scaled that way. So it's not like a bunch of money's got to go for this and for this and that. The overhead's really as low as no one gets paid. And just, unions, buildings, and logistics, putting people in hotels and stuff, and ground transportation and airfare. So long story short, I give Jean Nakamura $100,000 personally a year to her cause, which she does all the research for infants born with brain tumors that have to be radiated immediately. Like there's no chance otherwise. And radiation is not a great thing. I mean, it's going to come back and it can kill you and all these other things. So she is doing a program where she's trying to build their immune system. She says, these are infants that have the best immune system in the world, and you got to go in and you got to kill it. So through vitamin therapy and immune system and this and that, she's getting these kids, now she's got 14, 15-year-old kids. And so I'm giving her money, $50,000 to each assistant, so that she can spend more time in the laboratory and less time in clerical work and filling out papers and interviewing patients.
You're just a straight line guy, man.
It's the same thing.
I mean, it's the same thing.
I'm just paying a couple.
You just changed. I mean, the words were different, but the idea was exactly the same.
Yeah. Money's got to go direct. I can keep the money in my bank account. I don't need to put it in somebody else's bank account. I want it to go right to work.
Yeah.
Because people are desperate, man, out there. We need help fast. So anyway, then I like helping. My last thing that I love to do is I love to help the families that have those kids that ain't got the money to stay in a hotel room or an apartment building in San Francisco for 3 months while their baby's being, fried with radiation. And so I try to pay for their food and lodging and transportation for months. Yeah. A family member.
I mean, San Francisco's, one of the most expensive cities in the world.
Wow.
And so, I mean, you can imagine 3 months of that.
But
and then the alternative is you go stay, across the bridge, and they're already stressed, they're already tired, and then you're commuting from some place where there's a cheaper hotel, blah blah blah. So,
yeah, guys like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, they're building hospitals and schools and things for people with facilities to stay in. There's a lot of rich people out there that are doing the right thing. And like a lot of people are down on rich. It's right now there's this big divide. Poor hate the rich. Rich think the poor is a problem. Blacks think whites are the problem. Whites think blacks are the problem. All that horse shit. It's like, come on, man. The problem is that if everybody it depends what you do with your money. It's not, how could you hate Warren Buffett because he's rich? I mean, he does more with his money than the government, So I'm a big fan of that. It's about what you do with your money and with your fame and your fortune. So I'm growing up.
Let's talk about Van Halen.
Yeah. Them crazy fuckers.
Yeah, that was. I actually never met him in person, but when Eddie was diagnosed, and for the listener or the viewer who doesn't remember this, so he was diagnosed with tongue cancer.
Yeah,
and they wanted to cut off. I mean, the way it works is they'll cut off a little bit of your tongue, and if they don't get it, then they'll go cut off more, and pretty soon, they'll take almost all of it, and it's So he called me and said, and it was interesting. He had all these theories about how he got tongue cancer. Did he ever pass along these theories?
Guitar pick and all these things.
Yeah, you see, Lance, I always played with a copper guitar pick or some kind of metal guitar pick, and I would, parts of my solos I would put in my mouth, and I'm just sure that because of the electricity of the guitar through my body to that pick that was in my mouth, that's why I got it. And I'm like, well, I'm not a doctor, but I don't know if that's right.
Them cigarettes. What about them cigarettes?
Well, it was just, and then he had all these other little funny things he would talk about, with Valerie and whatnot. But anyway, so he was an interesting, quirky. He was a quirky dude, and we talked probably 4 or 5 times, and that was it. But
he was rough in that era, that period, right? That was 2004 when we did that reunion, and he just had the cancer, had the operation, and he had a doctor that was tightening him up pretty good with a lot of interesting things. And as far as I'm concerned, that's when him and I said, I can't be around a guy like this. He was way
out of control,
way too out there.
Yeah.
And I talked about it in my book, and I swore I'd never do it again, because it's almost like, the boys club. I threw him under the bus, but I threw myself under with him. I didn't say, hey, he was doing cocaine, we were doing cocaine. He wasn't fucking girls, we were fucking girls. You know what I mean? So I went under the bus with him, but he was so gone during that thing that he did the craziest shit I've ever seen anybody do in my life. And I probably shouldn't have quite thrown him under so far because he'll probably never speak to me again. But I would love to be friends because that's all I care about in my life is not taking an enemy to my grave or them taking me as an enemy to their grave. That means a lot to me. And so I've tried to reach out a few times, but he's he's okay now. I mean, I think he's okay physically. I mean, but I know he's not like it whacked out the way he was doing. I mean, he was drinking a fucking case of Smoking Loon red wine a day out of the bottle, and had all of his teeth were gone because he had all the radiation. He had to take all the fillings and everything else. So he had about 4 teeth hanging in there, and they were black. And he wore a big overcoat that was full of fucking drugs and a couple bottles just to walk from the hotel room to the car. And you know, he was just crazy. He was turning over tables. He was fucking kicking windshields out of every car we got in. We're in a G5 at 45,000 feet. He's got a red wine bottle empty, a rented G5, and banging the fucking window with the bottle and blasting, you know, red wine all over the nice white seats because he was so angry because everybody was down on him because he couldn't play because he was too wasted all the time. And it was just horrible. I just hated to see him like that. And I just said, man, I never spoke to him since then.
Wow. And one thing I did not know, and when you poke around and read, I mean, it's in a lot of these articles that when they and there's controversy or varying stories over how David Lee Roth left. Did he quit? Did they kick him out? Blah, blah, blah. But you and Eddie share a car mechanic. And I don't think most people know this. So you guys, somebody had a Lamborghini and somebody had a Ferrari, and they were both being worked on at this place, this Italian dude's place. And they had just punted David Lee Roth. And the mechanic goes, well, you should call my friend Sammy. This is his car. You should call him to be in the band.
Exactly.
That's the craziest shit. Like, I didn't know that.
It's the same story as Cabo Wabo Tequila. It's like walking through the lawn, you step in dog shit, and you can't get it off your foot, you know? Right. That's my story of my life. Eddie calls me up and says, hey, man, it's Eddie Van Halen. I'm going, whoa, really? Yeah, no, it was that simple. You know, yeah, my Ferrari was sitting there getting a service, and I was on tour, on a VOA tour, 1984, and Eddie just came back from their 84 tour, and I guess, I don't know if Roth quit or if they kicked him out. The same thing with me. People think that Eddie and Al insists that I quit. I got fired. Yeah. Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, Father's Day, laying there with my 2-month-old baby, Kari and I, first baby we had, and he goes, hey, man, you know, you only just want to be a solo artist, and hey, we're going to get Dave back anyway, so you can go be a solo artist. And I went, you motherfucker! I jumped up out of bed like I saw a ghost and fucking running around and swinging free, you know.
I don't think people remember that because obviously you have Van Halen with David Lee Roth and you have Van Halen with you. They had more success, way more success with you than with David Lee Roth.
We had all #1 records, sold out every building in the world. Yeah, it wasn't like we were bombing. No. Eddie just was starting to go crazy, and then he, went all the way through that whole thing, and then the reunion. And but I don't know. Like I said, I hope he's solid now. I've seen pictures of him recently.
I looked up pictures. Yeah,
he doesn't look the best he's ever looked, but he doesn't look like he's. When Eddie's got weight on him, that's when he's not drinking and doing drugs.
Because he's got a little pooch. He posted a picture.
And that's much
on
better.
His motorcycle from just a couple months ago.
I love Eddie with a little belly on him, man. Because when he's skinny and crazy looking, he's doing all the wrong stuff, and He's a wild man. He's great though. Look, one of the greatest guitar players ever lived. Him and I wrote some of the greatest songs in rock history. I'll say yes, we did. I'll brag about that any day. And I miss those guys. I don't want to be back in that band because I think there's too much luggage. And at my age now, it's like, why? I do this for other reasons.
Well, you got a couple $100 million and you're in a good mood, so you don't need to go do that.
But it ain't just money. So if I was broke, I would still rather be in the band I'm in. And I'm not joking. The Circle,
I totally
we love each other. We're having so much fun, and everybody's just as good. Nowadays, when we were our heyday in Van Halen, that was a hard band to touch. But everybody's not in their heyday anymore.
Right. Yeah. And so when they called you on Father's Day, I mean, that's literally the last conversation with Eddie Van Halen?
No, we had a reunion later.
And that's right. Sorry.
That was 95.
But since then, the reunion.
Never. Not one conversation. I wished him a happy birthday about 2 years ago on his Instagram. And I think his wife does his Instagram and it got back and said, oh, hey, hope you're doing well. And, thank you or something like that. That was good. But I'll say this again, and it'll be one of those things that gets all over the place. But I reached out to Al I think I bought a house in Dana Point down in Southern California, where the reunion happened. I was staying in Laguna Beach at a hotel, and Alex called me and said, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And I said, "Hey, I'm in Laguna Beach, man. Come on down." He came down. We spent the whole day. The reunion happened. So I said, "Hey, I just bought a house right close to where, saw you last time, Al." Sent him an email and a text and a voicemail and said, "I want to invite you and your wife and Eddie to come on down. I will cook lunch for you. Take a walk on the beach. No agenda. I do not want to put the band back together. It's not what I'm thinking. I want to just catch up with old times, be friends again." And I didn't get a response. So I thought that was lame. Yeah. But whatever.
Yeah.
But I care. See, I really care to be friends.
And Al's normal?
Oh, yeah, Al's straight as an arrow, but it's Eddie's brother, man. Come on.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Those guys would be fighting.
We're talking about Alex Van Halen.
Alex Van Halen.
The drummer.
Yeah.
For people, there are people listening to this going, "Wait, who the hell's Van Halen?"
Yeah.
They are.
Okay, Alex and Eddie Van Halen are brothers, a drummer and a guitar player, folks.
Yes,
but anyway, they would be fist fighting, and you'd go to break them up. And you'd get angry with one of them, because he's trying to get away. Say, "Hey, you motherfucker!" And his fucking brother jump on your back and start fucking.
Dude, he was just fighting with him.
Yeah, hey man, don't be talking to my brother that way. I'm just trying to break you fuckers off. They're really tight. It's beautiful. I wish to God I had a brother in my band, like that. That's got your back.
What's with this? It seems, and this is me just being way, way, way far removed from this, but the way that they treated Michael Anthony it just seems something's not right about that.
That was when Ed wasn't right, and that's all there is to it. Because Eddie is not a bad guy. He's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. But he was really gone. He went through a really dark time. I'm telling you right now, dark. Oh
yeah, and I've heard stories like the mattresses up on the
it was Dracula's
in his
house.
living room, like mattresses on the windows, like a Dracula. Shit you see in movies.
the Count Van Halen, and Alex. They just they wouldn't have done that. Eddie wanted to play with his son.
He wanted to play with his son, Wolfgang.
Yeah. And I don't blame him. Hey, I got my son on tour. My son opens for my band. And that's what you do. You don't fire the best bass player, background singer in the world, and bring your son in, that's hard on your son. That's not fair for your son. I don't think anyway. Yeah. But
Michael Anthony's pretty normal dude.
Oh, completely. He likes to drink. Like he's like me. We have a little drink in the evening. We get going.
Yeah. This is yet another thing we have in common.
But Lance, you're an athlete. You have to be careful.
When I play a lot of golf, and so my buddies, say we tee off at 12:30 or 1, and that getting done about 5. So that to me, that's sort of when you can start to have a drink. It's like 5 or 6 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So these guys, most of these guys, they drink the whole time. Like number one tee. If that cart girl rolls up, double vodka soda, blah blah blah. I'm like, damn, it's 12:30, and so I joke with them. They're like, Lance, have a drink, and I go, I don't day drink.
I don't either.
Before we walked in here, you were standing out there and you were like, there's 2 things I don't do. I can't smoke pot and I don't drink during the day. And I'm like, that's exactly my story.
We can be friends. Lance,
and
I never go.
There are times that I try both of those things and it never ends well.
If I get buzzed up in the daytime and I got to take a nap, and once I take a nap, I'm done. I wake up at 6 o'clock going, oh, fuck. Well, I just pissed a day away. The only time I drink in a day is once in a while when you're in a place like Italy, where you go to lunch at 3 o'clock and you eat till 7. Yeah. And, it ends up being dinner in a way. But, a big lunch place like Italy or Spain, and I don't mind having a glass of wine with a beautiful meal. But I don't eat big meals in the day or nothing. I like a big meal at night when I'm done. Shut the phone off, right? Pull out the bottle of wine. I love to cook. I like to cook and sit down and eat a great meal and have some drinks and have sex. To me, that's the ultimate life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, go to bed, boom.
I don't know what they put in this water you're drinking. This is some bullshit. We ought to bottle up. If you could figure out how to bottle up, we'll just call it. It'd be like a cologne. It'd be called Sammy Hagar's Optimism or some shit, or mood sauce or something. I mean, it's unreal.
I think anyone can figure out this. What makes you happy? It's the funniest things, like people think so many things that make you happy. I own big houses and fucking 17 beautiful fancy cars and, all that stuff. But it's like they don't necessarily they make you happy temporarily, but I have a garden in my yard. This is going to sound crazy, but my mother was like this. I learned it from my mom. We always have a garden. I love growing tomatoes and onions and all kinds of herbs and carrots. And my wife gets down there and plants garden every year. And we work, and I'll go, time to eat. I'm going to run down the garden and see what's available. And I like picking my own vegetables and going up, and I go, man, I come up, my shirt's like this. I got my tomatoes in my shirt, a couple onions on top, some fresh basil and some thyme or something. And, Kari's got the chicken up there getting ready to go and got the grill going or the oven going. And man, I'm just like going, this is so fucking cool. I go in my wine cellar. It's got 14,000 bottles of wine going back to got the shit, and I'll just say, I feel like having this Vegas Cecilia, pull this thing. I start getting excited, and I love it. I mean, it makes me so damn happy. The phone rings. I go, fuck you. Shut up. Kari's going, do you want me to get it? It's your manager. I think it's something really important. I'm going, no.
I'm picturing, Matt, the juxtaposition of the tent below the stage during Eddie's solo.
Well, and
you walking up with your shirt full of strawberries and tomatoes.
With a big old heart on me.
That's different.
Those things make you happy. They're natural and they're good for you, and it feels good. I'd rather pick my own fresh tomatoes and go buy them in store any day. Now, I'm not big on killing animals. Otherwise, I'd be the same way about that. But I can't kill an animal. It just hurts me.
You go to the store. They've already done it for you.
You get that. That part I'm okay with.
Yeah. Hey, did you see The Dirt? This Motley Crue, it's cinematic. It feels like a documentary, but this is for the listener. I'm explaining it. Maybe you've seen it. But did you see it on Netflix?
Well, I tried to watch it, but the problem is that my wife and I went up and somebody just sent me an email saying, hey, you're in Motley Crue's movie. They got a scene with you in there on TV and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, so let's watch it, honey. So we go up there. My daughter's coming home about 20 minutes. She's 18. She just turned 18 last week. And so we start watching it, and I'm going, first 5 minutes, man, I'm going, shut this shit off, man. Samantha just pulled up in the driveway. And, it's not soft porn. It's porn, man, at the beginning anyway. So I didn't get past that
full gas.
Yeah, but I'll watch it.
But you're not, David Lee Roth is in it. So it's somebody.
The Diamond himself?
Well, not him, but there's one. They're recreating some scene at this hotel. They're all partying, and he's doing blow. I mean, if that is, and apparently a lot of it's true. I mean, if that was the life, dude, I don't know how anybody survived that life.
I gotta say, the 80s were awesome. They were fucking great. I'm not kidding. Thank God I'm not an addictive personality. Otherwise, I'd be fucked like most of them guys. I mean, most of the guys just ruined their lives in the 80s. They're dying at 67 and 65 and all that. But man, it was a fucking good time. I got to tell you, I will never dog the 80s. Man, nope, hairband, all guys going around. We could dress like fucking women, with high heels, shoes, and tight fucking silk pants and shit. Man, come on, man. It was just, anything goes.
Yeah.
And you could write the stupidest song and have a hit with it. You know what I mean? It was like all them sexually incorrect dudes. Politically incorrect shit, man. Talk about sex.
And your buddies with Tommy Lee, so you probably heard
Tommy's a great guy.
Plenty of these stories. But I mean, it's hard to believe that any human being can be that crazy.
I think Motley Crue and a couple other bands probably take it a little bit farther than most bands, because they did.
Yes.
I remember Tommy the first time he came to Cabo for his birthday's October 5th or something, and mine's the 13th. So he came down to celebrate his birthday with me, and he in Cabo way back then. This was like 15 years ago. He was still in Motley Crue, and everything. He rents a stretch limo in Cabo. I don't know where the fuck they even got it, because there wasn't such a thing back then. And he comes in. He's got 5 or 6 chicks in the car. He comes to the Cabo Wabo. He plays. We eat tacos, drink, have a good time. And next thing I know, get the call. Tommy's in jail. Oh, what the fuck happened? And he had these girls, 5 or 6 strippers with him, and they were getting naked, hanging out of the roof of the car, going down, their titties flapping in the middle of the day. Now, the cops don't care about what you do down there, but if they got a reason to arrest you and can extort you out of your money, they're going to fucking do it. Right. So, of course, he got in trouble there. It's like Tommy used to get in trouble everywhere he went. He'd get in a fight or something would happen. But
he's interesting. When you watch, you should watch it. But he he's because they show these kids growing up too. Sort of they show glimpses of their home life when they were kids. He was like his parents were normal. They supported his music. Like they would come to the shows. Like he was a normal kid. The other ones were fucked up.
Yeah.
He was totally normal. And now he's this party.
He's a great guy though. He's like Eddie. He's kind of troubled, and he just always seems to find trouble. I just talked to his manager a couple of weeks ago. He manages someone else I was doing a rock and roll road trip with, and I said, "Hey, how's Tommy doing?" He said, And I said, "What now?" He goes, his son punched him out and knocked his teeth out.
I did read that.
And he said, and so he's suing his son. And I said, well, what the fuck? You don't have to sue his son. Just tell him he's going to take him out of the will, And he goes, what will? I said, okay. Tommy's
fair point. Fair point.
Tommy rolls pretty crazy, I guess. But he's such a nice guy, but trouble finds him,
Man.
Yeah, Motley Crue. I think they might have been one of they took it to maybe the farthest. Van Halen before me, I think were pretty out there. I came in. I'm kind of I have brakes on my car. I mean, I don't pull all-nighters. I got to sing. I was always concerned about my voice, and I don't like to do blow all night. I like to do a couple fucking big hard lines, and then you grab a chick and get the fuck out of there before it's too late. When you get to the other side of that drug, that ain't no fun.
No,
That's
I don't know.
The backside of fucking blow. I can tell anybody on the planet, if you don't already know it, is the worst. You hate yourself more than anybody in the world when fucking sun comes up. You're trying to pull the curtains and. Anyway, I hate that feeling, but I, like anybody else, I mean, fucking do a bump and you're going, wow, I feel pretty good right now, So, For
the record, we've never had a podcast like this. Never, ever. Nobody's ever talked about doing bumps. Nobody's ever said the word titties. Nobody's ever said the word blowjob.
I don't believe that.
You're probably right.
We never had titties flapping.
I don't.
Well, maybe the visuals are a little stronger than normal. Man, I love having a good time, but I'm not totally guy that doesn't do anything. I still do, crazy shit. Not crazy stuff to get in trouble with, but I mean,
well, you're the Red Rocker. You got
I like to have fun. I mean, I'm still healthy enough to pull about anything off, so I'm just go ahead and do everything, but I don't cheat on my wife, and that's no bullshit. Yeah. I don't cheat on my wife. When I found this,
I've seen your wife. So
well, exactly.
I think it's smart.
I hate to give the Paul Newman.
I see you right now. And I see her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be cheating on that.
I'm not. I go, it's Paul Newman said, why eat hamburger when you got steak at home? I really feel that way. It's like if I didn't have a great sexual relationship with my wife, I'd probably go elsewhere. But I think it's really important for any relationship. A lot of people are down on sex, man. Sex is a great, great thing. It's one of the gifts of God, man. It's like what more pleasure can you have on this planet, And it's like to have a good sexual relationship, you'll have a good marriage.
Right.
If you don't have a good sexual, separate bedrooms and all that shit, dude, somebody's gonna be fucking somebody else, and that's all there is to it.
Because your ship's passing in the night. And
yeah,
man. It's
so
as you just
I'm
said.
a big fan of a good sexual relationship. If it ain't happening in the bedroom, to me, it ain't happening. So if it's happening in the bedroom and everything's good, I'm pretty happy.
What about these impromptu? I don't know if this is true or not. I heard from my business partner, a good friend of mine, that you and Bob Weir are pretty good buddies.
All right, he lives right down the street.
He's right down the street, and you guys show up at this place called the Sweetwater.
Oh, yeah, Sweetwater.
And play these impromptu gigs.
Yeah.
You heard about this? Yeah. Is this true?
It's in Mill Valley.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Bob's the coolest guy. I'll tell you right now. He makes me seem like a pretentious fucking asshole, uppity rock star. He's so down to earth. It's like, hey Bob, what are you doing? Nothing. What you want to go downtown? Yep. Okay, what time? He's a little late once in a while, but other than that, Bob don't, everybody thinks Grateful Dead, Bob's not a big weed head either. See, that's where him and I are in common. Everybody's smoking dope around, man. We're looking at each other, I don't want to take a hit. Nah, I can't sing. You can't sing behind weed. I can't do anything. So it's weed's too powerful nowadays. So, but Bob, we'll have a couple of drinks, and have a good time. And he'll play music with anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. And so will I. I don't have to know the song. Fuck that. What key's in it? You know what I mean? And I'll chime in, and he does the same thing. I love the guy. He's probably one of the most loyal friends. Him and Toby Keith, two different characters, but
you think?
Yeah, they are. They know it. We've all been together on stage in Cabo, but those are two guys that if I call them up and say, hey, I need you to do something. Hey, can you help me out? Can you do this or can you do that? They say, yep. Yeah. You don't have to call them back. Yeah. It's done. And just guys with their word. Handshake, done. Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Called Toby up the second time. What are you calling me about? I said, well, I just want to make sure you're going to be there. I told you I was going to be there. Okay, all right, sorry, man. He's like, don't be calling me up fucking acting like maybe I was going to fucking flake out. I ain't that way. I like guys like that. Old timers. Bob's an old timer. He's a throwback worse than Toby. Bob's probably out of the 1800s. He's 1700s. He should live in a log cabin and be chopping wood, that guy, man. Trapping beaver.
Oh, man. Nobody's ever said trapping beaver either.
Bob used to, I heard the story from his guys who he's had loyal forever, the Grateful Dead guys, that Bob used to, in his heyday, he was the handsome guy in the Dead. And he'd go backstage, like I talk about my tents, he'd go backstage and he'd sit down in a chair, get a bunch of girls in there, he'd drop his drawers and just say, may the best one win. Oh, come on, let's make a chump out of me, man. That's the way you do it, Bob.
I was watching another interview where you were talking about because all the hair bands, and we were talking about the Crew and Van Halen, and the list of Rat, Poison. I mean, this is all the Dokken, Skid Row. Like, this is what I grew up. Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot. I grew up. That was my jam. And then all of a sudden came grunge. Right, so instead of wearing girls' pants and big hair and everything, these guys wearing like flannels and cut up jeans and coming from Seattle. And you were telling a story about, which I thought was brilliant, bringing Alice in Chains on the road with Van Halen. But I always ask people, and I always think about this because I'll never forget where I was the first time I heard Nirvana on the radio with Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I was like, holy fuck, that's different.
Yeah,
like that was. I still get chills. I was in San Francisco.
I just got a little
I was in San Francisco.
I got a little bump out of it. Look at this. I'm telling you.
And it was on an FM radio. It was way before satellite radio, and it was it was on the radio. And I was like, what just happened? Like, it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's what's so crazy is it wasn't that different, but it didn't have the party. They took the hard edge music because Van Halen, Poison, all that was hard edge. They just said it was party in there and it was pretentious and it had a little sense of humor to it. They took all that out and it just became dark, a little bit darker rock roll. Like, these guys are meaning this shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's something deeper than just singing about girls and stuff, man. Yeah, it affected me the same way too, and it freaked me out. I think that's probably what you saw me say. It freaked all of us out. Like Nancy Wilson, I interviewed her and Jerry Cantrell at the same time on my rock and roll road trip, first season, and because I wanted to, because she was from my generation, but she grew up with them in the same town as them, as grunge came out of. That's right, yeah. So Heart probably was really going, because they were fucking really hair bandy. Them girls, man, they took it to the 100, and I wonder how she felt about it. So I wanted to interview them together, and Jerry's a dear friend, and she said the same thing as I said. She said, I was scared to death of those guys, man. She said, I'd get invited to a party and I'd think, I'm not going to go, what are they going to do? Those guys are weird. That's the way I was with punk rock too, man. When punk rock came out, I loved it. I swear, I loved the Sex Pistols. That was just such badass shit. It was just garage band. They took them out of the garage too soon. That's the only thing with punk rock. It got famous before it got good enough to really make records. A lot of those bands weren't very good. But it freaked me out, man. I went to England in that punk scene. I was fucking thought I was going to go shopping down on King's Row or whatever it was, where it used to be the rock and roll thing. And before I knew that punk was happening, I was over there doing a record in 77, I think. And I'm walking down the street and I'm looking at these fucking mohawks and studs and these guys spitting on fucking each other. And I was going, holy shit. I was scared, man. I was like walking through, like some fucking gang neighborhood.
I'm from Fontana.
Yeah, exactly. I'm outnumbered though, man. I'm like, I'm looking for some rock and roll clothes. They didn't have that shit anymore. It was a trip. But, that's just the way it is. Everybody, look, athletes, you always see the young guy come up underneath you and you go, I don't know if I want to, mess with that fucker.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like wildfire. I mean, they just...
They just want to eat you alive. Like you are the what they want, right? If you're the rich famous guy now, if you're the big star, those guys coming up, they want to fucking kick your ass.
You ever jam with Dave Grohl?
Oh yeah,
That guy.
he did Acoustic for a Cure with me.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
He's a freak.
the guy can play drums, guy can play guitar, he writes, he sings,
Piano.
Yeah, he's really a talented guy. I always call Dave Grohl everybody's friend. Dave's everybody's friend. I mean, fucking Paul McCartney loves Dave Grohl. You know what I mean? Everybody loves Dave Grohl.
Well, he's the life of the party. He loves to crack jokes and say bad words and get drunk and play music.
He's the real deal too. He comes to Acoustic for a Cure, gets off the plane, brings a couple of his band members up there. Same thing. I just asked him to do it. Yeah, we'll be there. Bing. And he had just came out of the studio, had a brand new song. He gets up on stage and plays a brand new song acoustically. That when I heard it on the thing, it's The Sky is a Neighborhood, that song off his last album. Mm-hmm. The Sky is a Neighborhood. Yeah. It's heavier and shit. And I'm going, he's up there with acoustic guitar screaming like that. I'm going, man, I'm a screamer. He just had no fear. Yeah. You know, and a brand new song. He's looking at his lyrics and he's playing it, and I was just really impressed with his fearlessness. You know, that's the way to play music. Yeah, and it's the way to go into a sport activity and any kind of a competition. Fearless. If you're not fearless, you might get your ass kicked. Right. You know, those fearless guys. You know, it's like, I'm here. I always
when I talk about fear and fearless or being fearless, I always try to make the separation between fearless and reckless.
Not reckless.
No. But they can be mistaken, the two. So living a fearless life versus should never be mistaken or trend towards living the reckless life. And so
that's a good philosophy. Yeah, because you could interpret it that way. So fearless, you could be reckless.
Of course.
Yeah. Right, but being fearless, saying I'm okay, I'll try it, I'll do that. It's like I want to grow. I don't want to be afraid. I want to be as good as I can be. All those things. It's every time I perform acoustically, I'm not a good acoustic artist, and every time I do, I come off the stage or I come out of the situation, and I'm going, oh damn, I wish I'd have just had a little more confidence because I wasn't as good as I can be. You know what I mean?
But your son performs acoustic.
Yeah.
So he's got it.
He's got it. He ain't nothing like me. He's a whole different animal, man. He's more like the grunge dudes, man. He's a trip.
Speaking of, I want to make sure the listener, especially if they're, because we probably have a lot of listeners in the Bay Area. So if you guys are in San Francisco, May 15th, so go to Acoustic.
No, it's done. It's sold out in 40 seconds.
You know what? Like I said, you guys...
Come on down.
You're too late. You're too late. You cannot go. But let's just put it out there because they may want to go in 2020.
Yeah, there you go.
So Acoustic 4 and 4 is the number 4. So Acoustic number 4 acure.com. So, but don't try to go this year.
Now it always sells that. The fans they're supportive of it.
That's cool. You got to charge more for the tickets.
But I'm not trying to make money. So we only need X amount.
Give more to the.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, maybe. No, I don't think so. Well, hey, listen, Lance, leave me alone. Listen, you're gonna fuck my process up here. I got a system. I can't bust out of it.
I got you.
The crazy thing about Acoustic for the Cure is that you see in the lineups that we have in one little place like that, and you see them out of their element. Everyone does an acoustic thing by themselves. 3 songs, 4 songs mostly, 15 to 20 minutes maximum because you can't go on all night, and it's all collaborations. Like when I was up there singing with Joe Satriani, we're doing this thing one year when Dave Grohl was there, for instance. There's always a little small drum set, and it's all padded down with pillows inside, so you hit it, it goes, it's about that loud. And they got these little funny little light sticks. Dave jumps down it, comes running down, he liked the song, and he starts playing drums. And that's what happens at Acoustic for the Cure. It's really cool. I mean, James Hetfield the first year and Billy Joe Armstrong did. They did. James wanted to do "Turn the Page," the Bob Seger song, and Billy Joe came down. Billy Joe came down and did "I Walk Alone," and they made a smash up of it, a mashup, and it was like James didn't want to do it. He's going, man, you know, at sound check, Billy's coming down going, no, I want to do it with you, James. James going, oh, man, you know, and then they did it. It was fucking magic. It stole the whole show because it was spontaneous, number one, and number two, it was badass. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool things happening there.
Higgs and I saw Seeger on his farewell tour probably 6 weeks ago.
I love Bob Seger, man.
Let me tell you, I mean, every song. First of all, I've never been. We were like the nosebleed of the nosebleeds at this concert. It was amazing because we were.
Lance, you can do better than that.
I know, but we. Anyways, we were last minute, but I just had to go check that box. Just like this summer we saw, or not this summer, but probably 3 or 4 months ago we saw Elton John on his farewell tour.
One of the greatest singer-songwriters of all time.
3 hours. This guy's 70-something years old. Which, by the way, I mean, let's just. I sent you that funny text with you and you and Clinton did. That's pretty funny. But
so, you don't want to be president.
So look, you look at all the 70-year-olds. I mean, you talk about bands like Nirvana and that 27 club. But we also have like the 70 club. So if you've got guys like you and Mick Jagger and Elton John. I mean, Elton John just same age as you, and that show was amazing. But when he
sings,
he pounds the shit out of the piano, his voice is exactly the same, played 3 hours. But when he gets up to walk around and kind of high-five the crowd a little bit or to walk off, he walks like he's 90 or even more. I mean, I'm like...
Hey, listen, I'm waiting. I'm sitting there going, I bless myself every morning and go, thank you, God, for my blessings, man.
But,
I have a friend that's 10 years older than me. A mentor, and he's been my mentor since I was 30. And this man always tells me what the next decade is going to be like.
No.
And he told me 70, he's going, well, everything starts changing, and he said, you got to become an elder. You got to stop being this warrior, Sammy. He's like a Joseph Campbell kind of character. Very, very deep cat. And he's going, man, you just got to stop being that warrior. And I said, I don't know how. Like, I don't feel like I have to stop. He's going, well, you will. And I'm going, okay. I ain't got my fingers crossed here. I like being a warrior, man. I still like being competitive. I still like being great. I still want to get out there and be better than I've ever been. So, I don't know. I'm waiting. I ain't in a hurry. As long as my dick works. I don't want to be like Willie, and I don't want to outlive my dick. You know what I mean? Didn't Willie say that?
I don't know.
He said, well, yeah, when he turned 75, I think he said, well, somebody asked him how he was. I think Merle was still alive, and Merle said, how you doing, Willie, or something? And he said, well, I think I finally outlived my dick. No, thanks. Damn. No.
You know what? I probably had like 20 other questions, but that is a perfect place to end it.
It sure as fuck is.
I can't wait for tomorrow night. This energy, man.
Me too,
this is contagious.
Lance, it's an honor talking to you. Honestly, man. I'm a big fan of special people, and you're a special guy. What you've done in the world with your life and stuff, brother.
I appreciate
you don't just wake up in the morning and go do that. Like I said, that's kind of like the way I feel about it.
Forward, never straight.
Boom.
Boom.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.